माननीय सभासदों, माननीय सभापति जी,
माननीय सदस्यगण, जम्मू कश्मीर के बजट 2022-23 और जम्मू एंड कश्मीर अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल 2022, जम्मू एंड कश्मीर अप्रोप्रिएशन नंबर 2 बिल 2022 पर अब तक माननीय 24 सदस्य बोल चुके हैं। लगभग 4 घंटे 7 मिनट की बहस हो चुकी है। अब माननीय मंत्री जी का रिप्लाई हो। माननीय मंत्री जी।
Thank you, sir. So we are discussing since last 2 days the Jammu Kashmir Appropriation Bill and also the Jammu Kashmir Appropriation Bill number 2, both relating to J&K's budget for the year. There has been an emphasis on the larger context of the budget being presented here, and also the need for the Legislative Assembly to actually discuss it so that there's representation on matters related to the budget, the taxation in particular. Whilst the points are very well taken, and I thank all the 24 members who have spoken with great interest in the activities which are being undertaken by the government in J&K, political activities, and also the economic activities. The economic activities are there for everyone to see as much as the political activity in the context of the delimitation exercise which is going on is being undertaken with all the stakeholders actively engaging with the authorities. So with certainty and also with a sense of rapidity, both the economic and also the political activities are happening, and for everyone to not just see but also to participate. And therefore, in the context of post 370, Article 370, the concerns expressed by the honorable members and also the activities which are getting represented in the various budgetary allocations, where the context of the discussion and the content of the discussions as well. I thank again all the 24 members who participated in the discussion, and whilst I give an overall sense of what is happening through the budget, I also will address some of the concerns raised by the members, which are on the political side of things. As one of our honorable members did happen to state, the discussion went on to talk about many other things which may be core to the political economic situation prevailing in the state, but it was relatively lesser on the budget and more on the other things. That's well taken as well. Sir, post 370, many of the members have referred to the fact that about 890 central laws have now become active in the state, and they've become applicable to J&K as well. Whilst it's been applicable as and when the law has been passed in the parliament, the entire country benefited from it, but J&K has started getting benefit of it post removal of 370. And many of the unjust and discriminatory laws have also been, at the state level, have also been removed. Through 250 state laws have been completely repealed, and 130 state laws have been modified. The various impediments which prevailed in the state for industrial development have also been removed, and the industrial promotion scheme of J&K given by Government of India has opened new doors for the development in J&K. I was happy to hear from both the MOS Home and also from MOS Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs. Both speak on how even a delegation from the Gulf cooperation countries are at the moment, even as we are discussing these issues, are in J&K looking at possibilities of increasing their investment propositions. So the activity and the pace at which the activities for bringing investment, greater job opportunities, and also providing the political representation is going on. Importantly, sir, all of us have over the decades spoken about Article 73, 73rd and the 73rd and 74th Amendment to the Parliament Constitution, and as a result of which most of us see how the third layer of our democracy is getting represented by people from all backgrounds at the panchayat level. However, this level of democracy going down to the roots of the system and to the level of the villages was not available in J&K. So it is only after removal of Article 370 and particularly now this implementation of the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act has been made effective, and that has created an environment through which you find that the three-tier democracy revolution is actually now happening. And for the first time, there are over 30,000 grassroots level elected members in J&K, which is made possible now after the removal of 370. Also, in the name of devolution, which should actually happen in most of the states, 27 functions have been transferred to the PRIs and 7 departments have been transferred to the urban local bodies. These are certain concrete developments post the removal of Article 370. So, looking at what is prevailing post the pandemic and after the availability of the vaccines, all states have undertaken measures to ensure that vaccines are available for all their citizens. And now that we're talking about J&K budget and J&K health situations and the provisions made for health in the budget, it's important here to record that 100% COVID vaccination of all the eligible population has been achieved in J&K, 100%. And to add to this, 2 500-bed hospitals, COVID hospitals, one each in Jammu and the other in Srinagar, have been established, and this has been done by the DRDO. Because of the sense of urgency with which the hospitals had to be made, the DRDO, the Defense Research Development Organization, was brought in, and they have created the 2 500-bed each capacity hospital in Jammu and in Srinagar. So even on the quick necessary steps which have to be taken for the sake of the pandemic have also been taken with complete participation and also reaching and saturating on the vaccine. So the sense of security about which many of the honorable members voiced their concern, I just want to very quickly recall the kind of developments which have happened in terms of disturbances to the law and order, terrorist activities, and its impact on the economy. In 2021, the kind of figures we've achieved, I want to show that there has been an overall decline in such activities which disturb peace. There's been a 33% drop in infiltration, 51 in 2020 versus 34 in 2021. So 33% drop in infiltration, 90% decrease in ceasefire violations, 937 in 2020 versus 98 in 2021. 61% decline in terrorism-related incidents, where in 2020 we had 244, in 2021 we've had 229. 80% decline in abductions by terrorists. Again, abductions in 2020 were 10, and in 2021 are just 2. 33% decline again in number of police and security personnel were martyred. 63 it was in 2020 versus 42 it was in 2021. And number of active terrorists from 222 on as of 1st January 2021 to a reduction and coming down to the figure of 188 in January 1st, 2022. So there was no incident of weapon snatching in 2021 and even in 2022 as far as now. So if these are showing decline in those kind of activities which have troubled the J&K for a very long time, post Article 370 removal and in 2021 in particular, this is the statistics which I would like to place before this Honorable House. So terrorists being neutralized, active terrorists being neutralized is also a very important in this index on the basis of which we assess what prevails in J&K. 180 terrorists, 148 of them being locals and 32 being foreigners, including 44 top commanders were eliminated in 2021. They were completely eliminated. And about 38 terrorists, 28 of them locals and 10 of them foreigners have been eliminated this year only up till now in total of 24 anti-terrorist operations. So that's the second level of data that I want to provide. The decline in those activities was the first. Second is neutralization of terrorists. And third, recruitment into terror ranks, which is also worried and bothered all of us about the youth in J&K. Is their recruitment increasing or what is the situation on that? There's been a 16% decline, sir, in terror recruitment. 164 was it in 2020, and in 2021, it's come down to 138. About 24 youth who have joined terror ranks in 2022 so far, in comparison to 26 in corresponding period of 2021. And the last bit of data which is related to these activities is 89 terror modules were busted, leading to arrest of 670 over the ground active workers, which gave major blow to the terror ecosystem. So I just would want to place this to say, with these kind of containments very clearly happening, the environment for normalcy and also for attracting investments are happening. So one thing which is very important when very many members spoke about inclusion, are all the benefits reaching everybody, is the common man being included in the so-called announcement which are coming, were the words which very many honorable members spoke, and that is a genuine concern and I would like to address it. Prior to the abrogation of Article 370, sir, several communities were denied benefits. They were not given the right to vote for their assembly, which is a very important right in a democracy. No permanent resident status was given to them. They were not eligible for government jobs, and they were not eligible for admission in professional colleges, and they could not own land. Who were these people? Displaced persons of Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir and Cham. They were denied all this. They were not allowed to vote for the assembly prior to 370, removal, no permanent resident status, and they were not eligible for government jobs, not even eligible to own a piece of land. So these were the realities of Jammu Kashmir before Article 370 was abrogated. So were the West Pakistani refugees, also denied these rights. And I did mention this once earlier, and it is worth mentioning here because many of us honestly and earnestly believe benefits must reach, and that was the constitution given by Dr. Ambedkar. Benefits must reach those sections which have been very much denied of so much of socio-economic developments and benefits. And post 1947, Since 1950 January, that is what has been implemented in every part of the country, whereas that was denied in J&K. Valmikis and Safai Karmacharis have never received any of the benefits which rest of the country happily and rightly provides them. That was denied in J&K. So it is only after the abrogation of 370 these benefits have reached them. In fact, I can give you exact numbers. Displaced persons of Pakistan occupied J&K and Cham, 41,684 families have been given the benefits. They have been given financial assistance of 5.50 lakh per family under the PMDP, the development program of 2015. Reservations in direct recruitment and admissions in various institutions for residents, particularly at the international border, who are mostly people from Pakistan-occupied J&K and also from Cham regions, have all been given these assistance, and their total, as I said a minute ago, is 41,684 families who did not have it any time before the abrogation. So are the West Pakistani refugees, sir. Again, for them, 5.50 lakh per family has been given as financial assistance, eligible for all the domicile certificates which they never had earlier. They are now eligible for government jobs and other benefits. And how many such families? 5,764 families, West Pakistani refugees, have been given these benefits. Sir, I did mention about the Valmikis and Safai Karmacharis. 2,840 domicile certificates have been issued so far to the Valmikis, and eligibility certificates for them being recipients of the domicile certificates. Thereby, we are opening doors for their appointment in government jobs and other facilities, have all been extended. And I'm sure the August House will be very happy to know that if the deterrent all the while, all the 6 decades, all the while was the article, prevalence of Article 370, its abrogation has immediately brought these benefits to all these people, and that is what I'm sure will make the Parliament of India absolutely gratified about the fact that removal of Article 370 has actually meant benefit to those who so deserved it for so many years. Sir, specific questions related to some of the issues in the budget were raised. Broadly, the question was, how is it that the revenue expenditure decrease, particularly for very many important activities, public works or public health engineering department and so on? I just want to highlight the fact, as a part of the administrative reforms which have been undertaken in J&K, the hospitality department saw minus 4.72 decrease in revenue expenditure. Public Works Department saw a minus 8.76% decrease in their revenue expenditure. Public Health Engineering Department saw a minus 1.42%. But all these are part of an administrative expenditure and expenditure reforms which were undertaken. But the capital expenditure on these heads and on other heads as well have only increased and not decreased. And I'm sure members do understand that increasing on capital expenditure is far more constructive and productive, as it would go for building permanent assets, and decrease in revenue expenditure is a desirable norm, particularly because after a point, the returns on every additional penny spent or every additional rupee spent on revenue expenditure is not going to be comparable with what you get from capital expenditure. So the capital expenditure increase has happened 282% in public health engineering. Disaster management and relief saw 390% increase. Irrigation and flood control saw 60% increase. Agriculture saw 26%. Industry saw 33%. Education saw 18%. And tourism saw 10%. Health education, of course, 13%, and culture 18%. So the decrease in capital budget in respect of health department is due to also I'm talking of the health department's capital expenditure in one head coming down, and that one head is the PMDP 2015 works. They've all been completed, and obviously, therefore, on that head, more could not be given. And COVID-related activities and 300 crores under the World Bank aided scheme are all come to a completion. So obviously, new provision this year couldn't have been made. And also in the Public Works Department, there is one head which saw a decrease in the capital allocation, and that is because GSY, the Gram Sadak Yojana, second phase has come to a conclusion. On that head, therefore, there will naturally be a decrease. So on the employment aspects, lots of members, many of them had voiced concern saying what exactly has been happening. The figure is not right. National average is one thing, J&K's average is more. Concerns are well taken, sir. The new industrial policy actually of 28,400 crores will generate 4.50 lakh employment. 4,226 investment proposals. They are worth totally 47,441 crores are also planned to have 1,96,945 youth getting jobs. So these investments are very clearly worked out in such a way that employment for this many number of youth would happen. 20,323 posts referred to recruitment agency already. So for 20,323 jobs for the posts, recruitment process is ongoing. It's already been referred to the agency. Then 1,37,870 youth have been provided assistance under the various self-employment schemes and programs. So they not only are doing their own, but probably employing one or two more in their different self-employed ventures. So on handicrafts, particularly on handicrafts, quite a few members voiced concern saying J&K is very well known for handicrafts. The artisans are very well respected. Are we giving them something, or are they losing out on this transitional phase? Loan slabs for artisans and weavers have been enhanced from the existing 1 lakh to 2 lakhs. Under the artisan credit card system, 7% artisans have been given credit cards under this particular scheme, and in that 7% interest subvention is being provided to artisans availing facility, and that is a proposal in the current budget. So it's not as if it's been there, nobody picked up, or it is a proposal which this Honorable House will approve of. 7 crafts, including Pashmina. Yesterday, I think it was member Vivek Tanka, who's unfortunately not here, and I must concede, I appreciate he came and told me that he wouldn't unfortunately be here once the announcement was made that I shall be replying today. It was a concern that the Honourable Member raised. Pashmina shawls and carpet making have been registered under the GI Act, meaning the geographical indices, which is identity, which is given to certain unique traditional crafts have been given for Pashmina and also for carpet weaving from J&K. So we are taking steps to make sure that the artisans, particularly traditional skills, are working out. In fact, if not part of the budget, not part of the mentions which have been here, but I'm aware that there is a step being taken to revive the very famous filigree silver act work, which is very, very delicate and fine work of Kashmir. The filigree work is being restored in master craftsmen from Orissa, if I know right. Amar Patnaik ji will be very happy to know. Filigree experts from Orissa are also being co-opted so that the workers in J&K can benefit from their skills, and that entire filigree thing will get revived. Even this is happening. Sir, much was spoken about the identity of J&K, the symbols which stand for J&K's identity, which I respect. Dal Lake, what's happening to Wular Lake and so on. Dal Lake in particular, it was a bit sad when members said, oh, it's in a downright bad state. If you go somewhere near it, you'll only have the stench of the lake rather than the fresh, Jammu Kashmir's fresh air. So the work undertaken on the Dal Lake specifically, I'd like to put on record here, sir. The western foreshore road along Dal Lake is to be constructed. Part of the funding is coming from the budget here. It will be constructed afresh. More indigenous lake cleaning machines to be procured. 1.5 square kilometer area to be cleared from what they call lily pads, but I think it is some kind of a weed which grows in the water. They're cleaning it, and during 22-23, 1.5 square kilometer additionally will be taken up for this cleaning. De-weeding and dredging to be conducted along with the shoreline of 1.5 square kilometer area during this fiscal, the coming 22-23. Dredging of acquired lands. Lands were acquired near the western side, if I understand right. Dredging of the acquired land of the lake for 60,000 square meters. 60,000 square meters in 22-23, which is to be converted into water bodies, freshly acquired, but they will become water bodies. In fact, many of the members of parliament who would have visited Dal Lake recently would know that it's far cleaner than what it was for ages, and it has to get cleaner even more. So, concern again was expressed about apples, which is the procurement, growing of more apples and orchards, not just apples, but also apricots and very many. On that as well, the Agriculture and Horticulture Department has been working. Efforts are underway to double farmers' income. 8.93 lakh farmers are benefited by the distribution of hybrid seeds. 5,500 metric tons of CA storage, as they call it, added in a year, and further 50,000 metric ton of CA storage is to be added in 22-23. Market intervention schemes such as Parvaz for providing subsidy on anti-hail, ओला जो पड़ता है सर, उसके लिए net introduced. There are anti-hail nets which are now available for horticulture farms. So that net has been introduced to prevent loss for fruit growers. And aside from fruit and horticulture, trout fish, which is a very famous fish there, trout fish production is being doubled from 1,400 metric tons to 2,800 metric tons. So in order that will be helping the local fishermen, the targets have been raised and equal activities are happening for improving the fishermen. So there was concern expressed that the works which have been taken up are progressing very slowly. It's not really happening. Whereas the budget allocation for Home Department is very high. I'd like to say, sir, the budget allocated for Home Department is only 10,831 crores, which is almost 10% of the overall budget. Whereas I think the understanding was that 80% of the budget is going for home. It's not so. It's only about 10% which is going. And as regards completion of projects, in 2018-19, sir, 9,229 projects were completed. In 1920, that has gone up to 12,637 projects which were completed. And in 21-22, I'm talking about ending March, meaning in another few days, 40,000 projects are likely to be completed, and the House will be, sometime obviously details will come out. The pace of development has increased manifold since 2019. Numbers are there for all of us to see. So I'm not getting into too much of the employment data, which of course Minister of State Kishan Reddy ji, Minister of State for Home, had mentioned. I'll now come to the 4 specific points that Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh raised specifically on the budget. He raised questions such as, the state PSU sales have given you increased revenue. So is that going to be your assumption for increasing your revenue in all for the coming year? What are your revenue resources? What are the additional resources that you're going to be identifying? And are you forgetting the usual raising of taxation, toll tax and other things and going only for monetization? And also your assumption of GST revenues, and finally also about the land being made available by the J&K Industrial Development Corporation, which is a body which is a land bank kind of a body which gives for industrial development. I'm trying to address all the questions raised by Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh. Sir, resource mobilization, particularly in J&K, now that the economic activity of the state is across the board spread and available for everyone to see, our assumptions are based on mobilizing greater resources through the local bodies, ensuring that we have better collection through in some categories having user charges, and also making efficient services of the utilities, so that when the services rendered by the utilities are better served, people tend to pay promptly. And also, very importantly, like the way we are doing at the Government of India level, the removal of inefficiencies in the collection of power utilities, Forest Department, Jal Shakti Department, and also the Mining Department itself holds a lot of promise, and we are able to see that these removal of inefficiency in these areas are gradually showing up in terms of the benefits that we are able to get in the revenue. Asset monetization, sir, has only been 2.65% of our total receipts. And therefore, it's not such a huge big number that it gives an impression that, oh, you're selling everything and therefore your entire assumption for revenue generation for the next year is based only on public sector undertakings being sold off. No, not at all. It is only 2.65% of what we have earned this year. But however, of course, sick public sector undertakings such as, and I give an example only, the Jammu Kashmir Cooperative Supply and Marketing Federation, which is called as JAC-Fed, I think, Jammu Kashmir Cooperative Supply and Marketing Federation, Jammu and Kashmir Cements Limited, and other such SIC units are the ones with the possibility, if we are able to get some kind of a consensus within the state, and also if the economic indices are very clearly analyzed, may be picked up for asset monetization, not privatization, asset monetization. So the GST collection question which Jairam Ramesh had raised is, you seem to estimate that the collection will double. I just want to bring the figures here, sir. The GST collection estimates which were made, which included the compensation for the current year, is projected at 10,462 crores. That's our estimate. The estimate includes the compensation which is getting received. And for the next year, it is slightly higher at 10,600 crores. Now, next year, of course, is from June 22, you're going to have no compensation coming. But still, we've just given slight increase, and I'll explain it how. The level of collection, sir, even for this year, as of February, itself is 12,127 crore. And this is Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm so proud to say that is the kind of revenue being generated in a state which is being governed transparently now, and businesses are able to do their functions. Otherwise, tax collection is just not possible in a state like Jammu Kashmir, which is coming out of the pandemic, which is reviving its economic activity. As of February end, we are saying 12,127 crores, which is much higher than the target set for this entire year. And therefore, even though we are at 12,000 crores, slightly over 12,000 crores, our assumption for the next year, therefore the BE for the next year, is only 10,600 crores. Because we know from July 22, the compensation is not going to be there. So we've not really built on this assumption saying it's doubling and therefore we are going to double revenue. We have been realistic on that. And a figure which I had mentioned in some other context earlier answers partly the question which Jairam Ramesh raised about land allotment for industrial development. 4,226 investment proposals worth 47,441 crores have been received, and they are going to generate 1.97 lakh employments. And they have applied for online land allotment. So this is the land bank which is going to give them the land for it. Land for projects worth 14,000 crores has been approved, out of which 5,000 crores land worth in Kashmir division and 9,000 crores worth in Jammu division has already happened. So some of the questions, Jairam Ramesh and also the Honorable several other members about investments which is coming in. Are you really getting investments from outside, or is it just the locals? But if the locals have to do it, is the economy reviving adequately enough? There are questions raised. I just want to quickly give you a few metrics which will help us understand. During the Dubai Expo, which is going on, a lot of states went there and also tried mobilizing investment capital. During the Dubai Expo in January 2022, investment proposals worth 3,000 crores have been finalized. That is for J&K. CEOs of top companies, I mentioned it earlier, Honorable Member Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi is here now. He spoke about how the Gulf Cooperation countries members are still now in J&K talking investment possibilities. They're all there talking on a visit in J&K, which is testimony to the fact that normalcy and also government's commitments to draw investments are fully happening. Lulu Groups has signed an MOU with the J&K government to invest 200 crores for setting up a food processing logistic hub. So that's already signed. That MOU is already signed. Apollo Group has also signed an MOU. They are setting up a 250-bedded multi-speciality hospital in J&K. Private sector coming into J&K, post-abrogation 370, and setting up hospitals, which did not happen till now. Outside, investors, specialists in certain area of investment are coming in. Other global investors have signed MOU. They include MR Group, which is spelled as all in capital EMAAR, MR. Then there is a Noon.com, Al Maya Group, Matu Investments, GL Employment Brokerage, etc. Many of such companies have already come, and I understand land has been already allotted for investment by Jindal Steel. The investments which are happening, and our assumptions of the budget are very clearly explained. So there was some probably factual misunderstanding. I want to correct them. The governor's rule, one of the members, I think it was Vivek ji, he's not here, but I'm taking the liberty to mention it because it's a fact which needs to be corrected. President rule has been there for 6 years. What have you done? So just want to highlight, it may sound that I'm nitpicking, but these are data which have to be clear. President rule was introduced in June 2018 and not before. So it's not 6 years yet. So there were also questions about, I think, again, Honorable Member Rajani ji is not here, but she said you must read a lot, you must know what has been said earlier. Only when you read do you understand. I fully appreciate that concern, but I just want to say that she said, "Padiye, padiye." Huh? Sorry? पढ़ लिया हम सब पढ़ने के लिए कोशिश करते हैं सर, लगातार कोशिश करते हैं, बट पढ़ने में ही हमारे लिए जानकारी मिलता है कि जो एसेंशली के भारत देश का एक विषय है, जिसमें आई एम वेरी प्राउड टू से दिस हाउस, बोथ लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा, in 1991 passed a resolution saying those parts which are under occupation, illegal occupation of Pakistan, are also integral part of India. 1991. It's essentially an India-related issue we are talking about. पढ़ने के बाद ये समझ में आता है कि इस मामले को इंटरनेशनलाइज करने वाले कांग्रेस थे, ग्लोबल यूएन को लेके चले गए। कौन लेके गया? पढ़ने के बाद हमें मालूम होता है सर, हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी, जो फर्स्ट प्रधानमंत्री जी है, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी, इसको यूएन में लेके चले गए। क्यों? क्यों? बिकॉज समवेयर सर, सर डेटा, बजट,
प्लीज सीट पर बैठकर कमेंट न करें प्लीज।
पढ़ने के बाद जानकारी बोलने में क्या एतराज है? पढ़ने के लिए आप ही तो इनवाइट किया, पढ़ने के बाद हम बोल रहे हैं, इसको सुनने का क्षमता भी रखना चाहिए। हाँ, पढ़ने के बाद मालूम हो रही है कि 1947 दिसंबर में, क्योंकि ब्रिटिशर्स ने उनसे कुछ शायद सजेशन दिया कि ये मामला अदरवाइज सुधरेगी नहीं, आप यूएन लेके चलो, यूएन लेके गए, इंटरनेशनलाइज बना दिया, उसको आज तक हमारे पड़ोसी दुरुपयोग कर रहा है, दुरुपयोग कर रहा है। इसका कारण कौन है जी? पढ़ने के बाद ताई नहीं है, रजनी ताई नहीं है, मगर it is a issue which should not have gone to a global forum. It's essentially an Indian विषय. We could have handled it. We are handling it, and we are showing the difference now. Fair.
Please,
Sir. Now, sir. I've always. No, 1 minute. Anand Sharma ji, don't put words into my mouth. Yielding has never been my problem. I yield even now. I'll yield even now, provided I finish my sentence. I'll yield even now, provided I finish my sentence. So, padne ke baad, when we try to answer, or when we raise genuine issues, or when we answer some of the questions, many of the members won't be present, or they'll walk out. आंसर सुनने का क्षमता रखिए, मैं भी बैठ जाती हूँ, यील्ड भी करती हूँ, मगर ना जब जवाब देते हैं भाग दौड़ते हैं या रनिंग कमेंट्री देते हैं। सर, मैं बार बार याद दिलाती हूँ, मैं जवाब देने के लिए तैयार हूँ, मगर जवाब देने के लिए जब मैं उठती हूँ बाहर चली जाते हैं या रनिंग कमेंट्री देते हैं, वो सही नहीं है। आई यील्ड।
This is not an issue on which I want to have a partisan discussion or debate. I have also read the same history about our country and of that period. So the fact is that it was the British Parliament which had passed the Union of India Act, and two Dominion states were created, the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan. There were certain agreements how the princely states, erstwhile princely states, would merge, either join one dominion or the other, through an instrument which was created, the instrument of accession, which is the same sanctity as to be honored, which is a sovereign guarantee and sovereign signature. It was Maharaja Hari Singh who had then approached the government. At the time of the Kabili invasion, when Kashmir was under attack and the enemy forces were Pakistani forces under the guard of Kabilis or tribals, few kilometers from Srinagar airport. That's where the condition was made by the first Prime Minister and the first Home Minister, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. That history, each page of those files has been read by both the first Prime Minister and the first Deputy Prime Minister, and accordingly it was a unanimous decision that we will send the Indian Army only when Jammu and Kashmir signs the instrument of accession to become an integral part of India. So what she's referring about the Honorable Minister, about the United Nations, I would like to set this record straight. If the matter was taken to the UN Security Council, the issue was whether there will be a cessation of the military conflict or not. India did not accept the plebiscite. UN Observer's Office was never given that sanctity. India conducted elections. There were elected governments in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Not only, we fought wars, and we made it very clear repeatedly, this is India's position prior to 2014, consistent position that Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are an integral part of the sovereign state of India. Let that be put on record.
Thank you. Manya Mantri ji, please.
Sir.
No, Manya Mantri ji, please. No, Anil, please. No, Manya Mantri ji. Manya Mantri ji, please. Manya Mantri ji.
Sir, we are reading history and we are coming back with certain
Let
things.
us now hear them. Let us hear Honorable Minister, please.
So it is one thing for India to be repeatedly, subsequently fighting wars, defending the territory, also coming to the parliament to say that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India and so on, but all that is after having taken it to the UN body. So that you cannot deny, which was not necessary at all. So that has to be taken up, and but for the veto.
Please, no.
So this is how it
Please,
is.
अब बैठ कर सीट पे ना बोले, please.
We
Please.
have to listen to even an intervention which a former minister makes, and everyone was quite listening to Honorable Member Anand Sharma. But no, when I stand up to rebut that, there will be voice. That is the culture of the
Please.
current opposition, and I'm sorry to say this. That's a culture which should not happen in this house. I'm sorry to say this. Kindly have the patience to answer and listen
Mr.
to
Nazir
answer.
Hussain, should I name you today? Please, you are not the
There.
person to sitting here. Please take your seat. Mr. Nazir Hussain, मैं आपको name करूँगा,
Sir.
please. No, you are not
This is
supposed to talk from
unbelievable,
there.
sir.
सीट
This
पर
is
बैठ कर आप running
unbelievable.
commentary करेंगे. क्या तमाशा है? Please,
Sir,
please, no chairman, sir, please.
this
No,
is the constant
no,
rebuttal,
please.
sir.
माननीय
Even
LOP,
the
please.
chair will be argued with.
आप senior member encourage ना करें
Even the
चीजों को.
chair will be argued with or commented upon, and I therefore see how it's so difficult for any of us to stand up and answer. So, thank you very much, sir. Other point which I have to underline again is about Article 370. About Article 370, पढ़ने के बाद First Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, in a reply to the Parliament, November 27, 1963, what did he have to say, sir? Article 370, I'm quoting. Article 370 is part of a certain transitional provisional arrangement. It's not a permanent part of the Constitution. It is a part as long as it remains so. As a matter of fact, it has been eroded, if I may use the word, and many things have been done in the last few years which have made the relationship of Kashmir with the Union of India very close, unquote. इसको बार बार हिंदी में भी they used to say घीस करके आर्टिकल 370 खत्म हो जाएगा. घीस करके खत्म होने वाले कानून के ऊपर जब सच में उसको निकालने के लिए जैसे माननीय फर्स्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने एनविसेज किया, the way in which he had mentioned घीस करके हो जाएगा, उसको सच में हो जाने के लिए हटाने के लिए जब हम कदम उठाते हैं, no, what is this? How could you do it? You've removed the special status for a state. 70 years that transitional arrangement remained. And when you remove it, You should have gone by what Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had said in 1963. Supported it. The transitional phase is over. And I therefore want to quote here, sir, our Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah ji, who on August 6, 2019 said it. I quote, Jawaharlal Nehru ji also said that Article 370, I'm quoting, Jawaharlal Nehru also said that Article 370 will be worn out in due process. But Article 370 has been maintained with such an effort that it has been 70 years, but it has not worn out at all. Now you tell me, everyone accepts that this is a temporary provision. Can the word temporary last for 70 years? When will it go? How will it go? How long does this temporary provision have to remain? Unquote. This is what our Home Minister Amit Shah ji said August 6, 2019 while talking about abrogation. And therefore, it is important to understand that although from Jansang's days, our manifestos have spoken about abrogation of 370 and we've kept up that promise. Every BJP manifesto has said it. We've kept up that promise. It's a promise given to the country. And therefore, we had to do it. We've fulfilled it. Sir, also, repeatedly we've heard denial about nothing happened, no genocide, no mass migration of people, no running, no fleeing of people, no killing happened. And also various questions about who was the governor there. It was your rule. You were in alliance in Delhi. I just want to put the facts on record, sir. The National Conference government, with the support of the Indian National Congress, was in power in J&K from November 1986 to January 18th, 1990. And Governor Jagmohan ji reached J&K after the resignation of the then Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah ji. Sorry to take the name here, but he was the Chief Minister then. 20th January 1990 is when the governor reaches Srinagar. But whatever happened in 1990, we all know, we list it out and we are all seeing it also. But what happened in 1989 when this government was still in place? November 86 onwards till 18 January 1990. I'll take just the example of 1989 when that government of National Conference and Indian National Congress alliance government was still there. At least 7 major events and 1/8, which is even more important, all happened in 89. Srimati Prabhavati, wife of Sohan Lal in Nagam Chadura, was brutally killed by terrorists, and the FIR is still lying there, 46/89 in Shahid Ganj, Srinagar police station. Sri Dinanath Raina, son of Tarachand, was killed, shot dead by terrorists in Habba Kadal, and that FIR 154/89, 1989 ka incident, still lies in Shahid Ganj police station. Number 2. Number 3, retired Judge Neelkant, who had sentenced Maqbool Butt. जैसे पूरे कॉन्वर्सेशन कश्मीर फाइल्स के ऊपर चला, बजट के ऊपर नहीं चला. Sir, Neelkant.
Please.
You reply on Kashmir budget. Whatever points we have raised, you reply. VP Singh के साथ कौन थे? VP Singh.
I'll answer that also. I'll answer that.
आप लोग खुद सपोर्ट करके वहाँ पर खुद उधर बढ़ावा भी देते हैं, इधर ये बात भी हमको कहते हैं, और देश बचाने के लिए हमने जो काम किया उसकी मजाक भी यहाँ उड़ाते हैं.
धन्यवाद माननीय.
ठीक नहीं है.
धन्यवाद माननीय.
आपको कुछ कहना है,
धन्यवाद.
एक अलग डिबेट रखिए.
धन्यवाद.
फिर सारे उत्तर हम लोग देंगे.
धन्यवाद. प्लीज 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 प्लीज
Sir,
माननीय मंत्री,
I'm
आपकी बात
very-
रिकॉर्ड पे जा रही है, कोई और नहीं
I'm
प्लीज।
very happy to hear the honorable leader of opposition say, first answer on the subject, don't deviate from the subject. On both the points, sir, I have all this while answered point by point on the subject for those members who spoke on the subject. And for those who did not speak on the subject too, I will answer here. And therefore, I request the honorable leader of opposition to have the kind patience and give me that space as a member of this house so that I will be able to answer every one of the members who ask me questions which are somewhat on the budget and which are majority not on the budget. And for that, if you allow me, I will draw the comment of Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh. Thank you. Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh comment I would like to take so that I will stand here justified for answer that I'm giving now. If the records can be pulled out and shown, I'm paraphrasing, may not be the exact words. Didn't he start his intervention by saying, whilst majority of the discussion has happened on other things, sir, I want to come back to the budget and ask some 4 questions which are pertinent to the budget. I've answered the 4 questions, but he himself, coming from the opposition desk, realized that the debate on the J&K budget was on everything else but the budget. Please take the record and show it. Didn't he? And is it not my duty, therefore, to talk about other things also? So why is this objection by the leader of the opposition? Kind senior member, kindly, I request through you, allow me the space to answer everything that has been said. Undone, sir. So that is number 2. Number 3, retired Judge Neelakant, who was also shot in broad daylight by, for having given a judgment against a terrorist. That also happened in 1989. Vijay Kumar Kupura, son of Shambhunath, also killed by terrorists in Maharajganj, and the FIR 21289 stands even now in Shahidganj. 5th one, Tikkalal Taplu, son of Amarnath Taplu, the FIR still lies in Maharajganj, shot down 169 by 89, stands still there, the FIR. Advocate Premnath Bhatt, 1989, a resident of Kaja Mir Ali, was also killed, FIR still 512 by 89, 6th one. 7th, is it not true? Now I'll come to this, sir. Now they talk about NC plus Congress government in there, but you were here supporting the union government from outside. Is it not true then that the Union Home Minister's daughter herself was kidnapped during December 1989? The state government there couldn't do a thing. They couldn't do a thing. And the state government's responsibility, it is the law and order. So, is it not true that even Jagmohan ji, and this is the last point on this ground I want to raise, is it not true that Governor Jagmohan, in his first phase of being governor, when he was asked to leave in July 1989, didn't he warn the authorities at that time itself that the dark clouds of the terrorists are really overpowering J&K? Necessary efforts will have to be taken by the state government. And he said that and quit. And after that, all this has happened. And after that is when the resignation of the then chief minister had to happen on 18 January 1990. And then came Jagmohan's second tenure as governor. But this happened when the state government was controlled by National Conference and Indian National Congress. So kindly, sir, do not, I wish the dates are not played around with. No, we were not there, you were there. None of that. All these dates are pakka here in the records. So, for something which has been from then messed around, completely injustice done to the people of J&K, after the abrogation of Article 370, you see justice reaching, democracy reaching, economic development reaching, rights for everybody reaching. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I shall now put the motion regarding consideration of the Jammu and Kashmir Appropriation Bill 20